All right, welcome to Big Time Basketball, the basketball segment of the Fantasy Fanatics Podcast. I'm your host once again, James. I'm joined once again by Nate. What's up, man?
So,
All right, in today's episode, got a lot of basketball to cover. We'll talk about NBA games from Monday. Take a look at some of the games that are sort of finishing up on Tuesday. Some of them are still going on as we're recording. Then we'll take a look at the fantasy basketball pickups for the week. This will be either the second last or last week of pickups because it is for the fantasy playoffs. If we have pickups next week, it'll be for whichever leagues are still running. But yeah, I definitely want to check those out, and then we'll get to the preview for Wednesday's game slate. How does that sound?
good.
All right, let's get right into it. We'll start with Monday night. We'll start with the Denver Nuggets beating the Charlotte Hornets 113-109. This was pretty much the Nikola Jokic show at this point. He led in all major categories, 26 points, 19 rebounds, and 11 assists for the Nuggets. In terms of the Hornets, we had Miles Bridges leading them in points with 27. Bridges also led them with 11 rebounds, and then LaMelo Ball had 11 assists to lead Charlotte there. I guess give me your thoughts on this game and give me your thoughts on these two teams.
It was really good play from the Nuggets, and I think some good play by the Hornets as well. I think Jokic had a triple-double, if I remember correctly, so he's been getting a lot of those. It's really impressive just to see how far he can take the Nuggets.
Yeah, I mean, Nuggets, they've looked great. Jokic just pretty much carried this team on his back. Definitely one of the largest MVP candidates, if not the front runner for it. And then, yeah, with the Hornets, obviously, they've definitely been moving up. I remember I guess, weren't even in a play-in spot at one point. Now they're the 9th seed in the East. I know this is sort of a bump in the road for them, but they've been playing pretty well lately. So I think that, it was a tough battle overall. I don't think that they played pretty bad. They even outscored Denver in the fourth quarter, but just weren't able to come up with the win. So, yeah, definitely solid effort by Charlotte here as well. We'll move to the next game. Got the Cleveland Cavaliers beating the Orlando Magic 107-101. In terms of points, Darius Garland led the Cavs with 25. Wendell Carter Jr. had 15 to lead the Magic. Wendell Carter also added 12 rebounds to lead the Magic, while Dylan Windler had 9 for the Cavs. And then in terms of assists, Darius Garland led the Cavs with 12, and Franz Wagner had 6 for Orlando. And I guess give me your thoughts on this game. Magic have been playing pretty well, even though they've pretty much been out of the race. And I guess this is a good win for Cleveland. They've been slumping a bit. I guess, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Cleveland definitely needed this win. I guess they're about 7th right now, so they probably want to get higher in the standings so that they don't have to go into the play-in. And I guess for the Magic, they're pretty much just experimenting to see what works. Obviously, they're still giving every game that they have everything they got. So I guess this is kind of prime opportunity for them to play spoiler.
Yeah, I definitely agree. At this point, Orlando, they're just sort of testing out their talent, seeing what they have, seeing what works. And then, yeah, as for Cleveland, they've definitely been slumping a bit. They've dealt with injuries throughout the whole year. Of course, Colin Sexton, Jared Allen, among others. And yeah, they're just sort of trying to find their footing again. It's a great way for them to do that in this game. Definitely a solid win for sure. We'll move to the next one. Atlanta Hawks beating the Indiana Pacers 132-123. Solid win here for the Hawks. We got Bogdan Bogdanovic leading them with 29 points. And you got Buddy Hield leading the Pacers with 26. And then in terms of rebounds, Clint Capella 15 to lead the Hawks. Jalen Smith had 6 for the Pacers. Then Trae Young 16 assists, really solid for the Hawks. And then Tyrese Halliburton at 13 to lead the Pacers. Let me just get to you on this game. Hawks have looked better. They're now in a play-in spot, and then the Pacers are kind of out of it at this point. I guess, what are your thoughts?
I guess it's kind of unfortunate for the Pacers. They traded away some of their players like Sabonis, and unfortunately, it just didn't work out. So I guess it's kind of back to the drawing board. I think some of their players weren't fully healthy, so guess we're just gonna have to see what they do next season. And for the Hawks, really good. They had a really good game. They're in a play-in spot. I guess hopefully they'll be able to kind of do well.
Yeah, I mean, the Hawks have definitely been playing better. They definitely should be a playoff team based on the talent they have. They just haven't really played up to their potential. Hopefully, they can kind of just round into form at the right time and sort of get hot and maybe even have a chance of winning a play-in game as well. We'll move on to the next game here. We have the Miami Heat beating the Sacramento Kings 123 to 100. Huge win for Miami. Jimmy Butler led them with 27 points. Davion Mitchell led the Kings with 21. And then for rebounds, Bam Adebayo, 15 to lead the Heat. Chimezi Metu had 9 to lead the Kings. And then for assists, Jimmy Butler led the Heat with 7, and Davion Mitchell had 9 to lead Sacramento. Obviously, the Kings are out of it at this point, as are a lot of the teams that we have been talking about. But Miami, they've been solid. They're back to being first in the East. I know Boston was for a little bit, but now with this win, Miami moves ahead of them. I guess, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I guess this was again another much needed win by the Heat. I'm guessing they want to try to keep their first seed for as long as possible, possibly all the way right to the playoffs. That way they kind of have an easier first round, at least in theory. And I guess for the Kings, I guess it's kind of the same situation as some of the other teams. They're just trying to experiment, see what works. Unfortunately, the trade for Sabonis didn't really work out for the Kings this season, so we'll just see what they do to improve in the offseason.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about that trade, how sort of a trade you make when you're trying to make a push for the playoffs, and they weren't really in that position. So it's kind of confusing, trading a younger guy like Halliburton out. We'll definitely have to see how it pays off from next season. And then, yeah, I definitely agree with you with Miami. Pretty much playing their best right now. They're cream of the crop there in the East. So hopefully they stay hot heading into the playoffs. I guess speaking of two other teams in the East, we have the New York Knicks beating the Chicago Bulls 109 to 104. Bulls have been really cold lately. I'm not sure what's going on there. A mix of injuries, among other things. But DeMar DeRozan did lead them with 37 points. RJ Barrett led the Knicks with 28. Then Vucevic had 13 rebounds to lead the Bulls, while Julius Randle had 13 to lead the Knicks. DeMar DeRozan, 7 assists to lead Chicago, while Emmanuel quickly had 4 to lead the New York Knicks. Solid win for New York. Trying to get into that play-in spot, it's going to be hard. And then I guess for the Bulls, yeah, really been struggling lately. I guess, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, the Knicks, they've been having an upswing, so I think it's not just the main starting five for the Knicks have been playing good, but the role players have been playing good as well. So as long as both the starting five and the role players keep, I guess, having solid games, they might be able to make it into a play-in spot, but we'll have to see. And for the Bulls, I guess not having Lonzo Ball does hurt them a lot because he's a good passer, he's a good defender. His shooting has improved over the years, so I guess not having him does hurt the team a little bit. And I guess for the Bulls as well, it looks like outside of DeMar, Zach, and Vucevic, it was mainly um, Ayo Dosunmu who had double digits in points. So I think they're going to have to try to figure out how to get the rest of the role players to kind of contribute a little more.
Yeah, I was going to say they seem to be funneling a lot of their offense through DeMar DeRozan, and you definitely need other ways to generate offense from your team. So the Bulls definitely need to sort of make a few changes, sort of get back to their winning ways as they had been. They were first in the East at one point, so hopefully they can definitely get back to that level. We'll get to two other teams from the East now. The Toronto Raptors beating the Boston Celtics 115 to 112. Celtics had been hot, but they were missing a lot of players here. The Raptors took advantage of that. It was won in overtime, though, so tight game. Pascal Siakam, 40 points to lead the Raptors. Marcus Smart had 28 to lead Boston. Siakam added 13 rebounds to lead the Raptors, while Daniel Tice had 10 to lead Boston. Scotty Barnes, 4 assists to lead the Raptors, while Derek White had 8 to lead Boston. I guess as a Raptors fan, what are your thoughts on the Raptors in this close victory?
I kind of have mixed feelings about it. On the one hand, it's great to see kind of Pascal Siakam's improvement as an individual player. it's kind of showed that even with really strong defenses, like with guys like Marcus Smart guarding him and kind of just the team defense of the Celtics overall, Siakam was still able to find a way to put up 40 points. And I guess the Raptors were able to help him out as well, creating mismatches and stuff like that. The other thing I don't really like too much is kind of like you said, the Celtics weren't fully healthy, so the Raptors basically had to. They played pretty well. They were able to clutch it in overtime, but they clutched it in overtime against a team that wasn't fully healthy. So I'm guessing the Celtics are probably feeling pretty confident. As long as they have Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they should be able to make it pretty far in the playoffs themselves.
Yeah, I know Boston, they've been so hot. With this loss, of course, they lose the first spot in the East, but yeah, their bench and I think they had Marcus Smart in the lineup, so part of their starting five, they were able to almost beat this Raptors team, which is pretty impressive. Definitely got to give Boston credit where it's due. The Raptors still eke out the win. That's all that matters. So I think good on both sides coming out of this game. And then we'll move on to the next game now. San Antonio Spurs get a big win over the Houston Rockets, 123-120. They're trying to get into that last play-in spot there in the West, held by the Lakers. So that's one step closer. You have DeJounte Murray leading the Spurs with 33 points. Jalen Green had 30 for the Rockets. Jakob Poeltl led the Spurs with 13 rebounds, while Kevin Porter Jr. had 9 to lead the Rockets. And then DeJounte Murray had 11 assists to lead the Spurs, while Kevin Porter Jr. had 9 to lead Houston. I guess give me your thoughts on the Spurs. Good win here over a Rockets team that, yeah, they're just pretty much looking to the future. I guess give me your thoughts on the Spurs' chance of catching the Lakers.
I think it's possible considering the Lakers have been pretty cold for most of the season, and it looks like there's still some injuries. I think LeBron isn't fully healthy, so he's basically playing hurt. So they might have a chance if the Lakers go on a losing streak and the Spurs go on a win streak. I guess for the Rockets, it was a good effort by the Rockets, but unfortunately they weren't able to spoil the Spurs' chances this game.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think that there is a chance the Spurs can catch the Lakers. They just got to keep playing as well as they have been lately, sort of get their record closer to, I guess, decent, around 500. Then they definitely can catch up to the Lakers. And then, yeah, as for the Rockets, like we said, building towards the future, you see guys like Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr. leading them in stat categories, which is great because they're definitely able to evaluate their young talent. We'll move to the next game. Memphis Grizzlies being the Golden State Warriors. Both teams were depleted in this game. But yeah, I think the Warriors barely had any of their starters in their lineup. They lose 123-95 to the Grizzlies. Desmond Bane leads the Grizzlies with 22 points. Jordan Poole had 25 to lead Golden State. Xavier Tillman had 9 rebounds to lead the Grizzlies, while Jonathan Kuminga had 7 to lead Golden State. Kuminga also had 4 assists to lead Golden State, while Tyus Jones had 6 to lead the Grizzlies. Yeah, Memphis, they've been so hot. Second in the West, ahead of the Golden State Warriors, who are in third. Yeah, I guess give me your thoughts on these two teams. They're both missing high-end players. I think the Warriors were missing more of their top players, and they suffered from it. So give me your thoughts on this game.
Yeah, it's hard to compete against like it's a team like the Grizzlies even without Ja Morant, especially when you don't have your best players. Steph wasn't playing, Clay wasn't playing. I don't think Draymond was playing either. So it was gonna be an uphill battle from the start, and I guess basically the Grizzlies showed that they can keep up even without Ja Morant. So really impressive by the Grizzlies.
Yeah, I think they're definitely a sleeper team this year with how deep that they seem to be. They're definitely a team that can make some noise in the playoffs, potentially winning a first round matchup, and then definitely seeing what happens after that. So I'm really excited for what this Grizzlies team is doing. Then as for the Warriors, yeah, it's just about them having all their players in the lineup. They're definitely a solid team. They just need their full lineup together, and then we'll definitely see their potential. But yeah, we'll move right on to the next game. OKC Thunder beating the Portland Trailblazers in overtime, 134-131. both of these teams, they're pretty much out of it at this point, looking to next year. But yeah, Isaiah Roby led the Thunder with 30 points. Ben McLemore had 28 to lead Portland. And then Drew Eubanks led Portland with 14 rebounds. Theo Maledon had 10 to lead the Thunder. And then in terms of assists, Brandon Williams had 12 to lead Portland, while Alexei Pokusevsky had 11 to lead OKC. Yeah, I guess what are your thoughts on this game? These two teams really close. They battle it out in overtime, and OKC gets the win.
I guess they're both in situations where they're just trying to kind of develop their young talent. The Trailblazers, they traded away a lot of their stars, so they're probably just going to develop who they have. I don't think they were fully healthy. I think Anthony Simons wasn't um, playing. Some other players weren't playing either. But kind of the same for OKC. They're also trying to just experiment with the roster and see what works. I think Giddy wasn't playing. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander wasn't playing. Udort wasn't playing. So I guess both teams they just tried to they're experimenting with the roster. They decided to put on a show. It's great to see two teams really battle it out like this, even when there's seemingly no stakes.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Two younger teams battling it out, going all the way to overtime, lots of scoring. Definitely a great game to watch, even if you're not a fan. So definitely great to see these young players developing. We'll now look at Tuesday slate. Most of the games are still going on. You have Milwaukee up on Philadelphia in the fourth quarter. You have Chicago up on the Washington Wizards also in the fourth quarter. Looks like Chicago will be able to bounce back there. You have the Brooklyn Nets up on the Detroit Pistons in the third quarter. You have the Dallas Mavericks up on the LA Lakers in the third quarter as well. Then you have the Utah Jazz and the LA Clippers just tipping off. It looks like it's going to be the return of Paul George to the Clippers lineup. I guess what are your thoughts on this Clippers team? Not just getting Paul George back, but if they get both Kawhi and Norman Powell, I guess what's their upside?
I mean, they can definitely have the deep run considering the Clippers. They've been doing their best to kind of hang in for basically the entire season. So that team has basically been next man up the team, and they've managed to kind of more or less stay close to a playoff spot, if I remember correctly. So if they do get Paul George and they get Kawhi Leonard, they could probably make it to, I'd say maybe the conference finals. So at least something like that. I don't know if they'll be able to go all the way to the NBA finals or win a ring, but I think they can definitely make the conference finals.
Yeah, I mean, even without those two players, they took the Suns to the limit last year. So yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see if they have both of those guys back, what they're able to do. Yeah, it's just been a wild road for this Clippers team, lots of injuries, but yeah, if both guys are healthy and ready to go, I can imagine that it'll really give them a boost come playoff time. And yeah, that's going to be the end of our recap for the week. So now we'll move right into the fantasy pickups for the fantasy basketball playoffs. Some leagues are ending this week, some are even further into next week. So we definitely want to have you covered for that. I guess, Nate, I'll start with you. Who's your guard pickup for the week?
For the week, I think you can maybe take a look at Jose Alvarado from the New Orleans Pelicans. I think he has a decent amount of upside considering his field goal percentage. So as long as he gets enough field goal attempts, and if he's shooting some threes, he'll probably be able to get double digits in points for you. And he can do a little bit more than that. He can get some assists and some steals as well. So in those categories, then you can definitely take a look at Jose Alvarado.
All right. And I guess for my guard pickup of the week, I have Tyus Jones. He's around 30% rostered. He's definitely a must add considering Ja Morant is still not back. He's just been really solid over his past few games. double-digit points in 4 out of his last 5 games, along with double-digit assists in 2 of those games. I mean, yeah, he's just so solid. He almost doesn't hurt you in any single category. I think 3 of those games he had no turnovers either. So yeah, he's a really clean ball player. Definitely someone you should be starting, especially if you have John Morant out. He's pretty much a pickup and plug and play type guy. So definitely take a look at Tyus Jones. And then for forwards, I'll move right back to you. I guess who's your forward pickup for the week?
I think for the week, you can maybe take a look at Ben McLemore. He's eligible for both shooting guard and small forward. He's about 12% rostered right now, so he should be available in most weeks. And last week, he had a great week. He was getting double digits in points for pretty much the entire week. His shooting percentage has been pretty decent. He's been getting a lot of threes. So if you need those categories, then you can take a look at it.
All right. And for my forward pickup of the week, I have Grant Williams from the Boston Celtics. Small forward, power forward eligible. He's only around 10% rostered. I guess with the news that Robert Williams is going to be out for the rest of the fantasy season, you definitely want to add this guy up. He's been starting in his last game against Toronto. He had 17.7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks. So, I mean, this guy, he's really filling in that role well. He played almost 40 minutes that game too. So if he's getting those kind of minutes, you definitely want to add him up and put him into your lineup, as he could be starting for the foreseeable future, depending on their rotation. So he's definitely a guy you want to look at, especially in deep league, since he's not even 10% rostered. I'll get right back to you this time on centers. I guess who's your center pickup for the week?
For the week, I think you can take a look at Isaiah Roby. He's about 32% rostered, so he's mostly a shallow league pickup. I think he ended up getting plus 11% ads last day because he ended up getting 30 points against Portland. He's been getting a lot of rebounds. He's been getting double digits in points. He does have very high upside, and I think taking a small look at the schedule, it looks like he's playing Portland again later this week and Detroit. So those are 2 teams that can definitely help Isaiah Roby's stats. So definitely take a look at it.
All right. And yeah, for my center pickup of the week, I have Precious Achiuwa from the Toronto Raptors. He's just been so solid as of late. Double-digit points in 7 out of his last 9 games. He's just been insane. He's had a lot of double-digit rebound games too as well. He throws in a few assists. He can shoot the 3 ball. I think 2 games ago he had 4 3-pointers made. And yeah, he's just been pretty solid in most categories. 4 blocks in his most recent outing against Boston. So yeah, he'll contribute almost anywhere. It's around 30% roster. He's more of a shallow league pickup, but he is tri-eligible. You got the small forward, power forward, and center eligibility. So yeah, he's definitely someone that's very flexible for your lineup. So definitely a must add for sure. And yeah, that's going to be the end of the fantasy basketball pickups for the week. So we're just going to move right into the preview for Wednesday's game slate. Take a look at some of the spreads here. We'll start with the first one. It's the Dallas Mavericks at the Cleveland Cavaliers. It looks like the Mavericks are favored by 4.5. I guess who do you like on this spread?
It's hard to say. I think 4.5. That's pretty close to what you could maybe take the Mavs. So I guess maybe you could take the Mavs.
Yeah, I guess the one thing I am concerned about is the Mavericks coming off a back-to-back. They are playing the Lakers as we speak, but then Cleveland has been struggling as of late. So I feel like 4.5 is still doable for this Dallas team. So yeah, I think I'll side with you on the Mavericks there. Looking at the next game, we have the Orlando Magic at the Washington Wizards. Looks like the Wizards are favored by 4 points. I guess which side would you be on here?
Well, I guess I think maybe side with the Wizards as well.
Yeah, I think I might side with the Magic here just because I feel like the Wizards, they've kind of been underperforming lately. Magic, we've seen a good effort from them, and the Wizards are coming off of a back-to-back. Definitely a time the Magic can take advantage of them. I will move to the next game. We've got the Denver Nuggets at the Indiana Pacers. The Nuggets are favored by 9.5. I guess which side do you like here?
Well, I guess the Pacers are kind of out of a playoff spot, so they don't really have much to play for. They've been struggling a little bit, and Jokic is playing an MVP level season right now, so I'll go with the Nuggets.
Yeah, I think I might go with the Nuggets as well. I definitely think they can win a double-digit game here. They're a significantly better team than the Pacers, so I definitely like them even on the road. We'll get to the next game, huge game here. It's the Miami Heat at the Boston Celtics, and it looks like the Celtics are favored by 5 points at home. Which side are you taking here?
I guess it's gonna depend on who's playing. I'm gonna assume that Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown are playing. So even with that, I think if the Heat are healthy enough, they should be able to cover this.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. You're giving me 5 points with the Miami Heat. Assuming their big three are all in the lineup, yeah, you definitely got to take them there. It's definitely a lot of value in my opinion, especially with Robert Williams being out, and I guess potentially others for the Celtics. So yeah, give me Miami there. We'll get to the next game. It's the Minnesota Timberwolves at the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors are favored by 2.5 at home. I assume you're probably going to side with the Raptors here.
Yeah, I think they should be able to cover this.
Yeah, I definitely like the Raptors at home. I know they had recent, I don't know, there was something that went on in their stadium, whether it was a fire or something. And then they took all the fans out, and then the Raptors blew out their competition. So, I mean, yeah, they've been getting wins. I know this Minnesota team has been pretty decent lately, but 2.5 points at home. Yeah, I think you have to go with the Raptors here. We'll get to the next one. Charlotte Hornets at the New York Knicks. It looks like the Hornets are favored by 2.5. Which side do you like here?
It's a little bit hard to tell. I guess maybe you can go with the Knicks as they are doing pretty well lately. I think they won 4 of their last 5 games. So yeah, maybe you might be able to take the Knicks.
Yeah, for sure. They have been hot. I definitely like this Hornets team. I might side with them, even though they are favored by 2.5. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like this Hornets team, they've been playing well. They're trying to really make the playoffs, although both teams are still in the competition. But yeah, something about this Hornets team I definitely like. So I'm going to go with them. We'll move to the next game. Atlanta Hawks at the OKC Thunder. Hawks are favored by 12 points. I guess who do you like here?
Well, I guess I'd want to say take the Hawks, but at the same time, they haven't really been in playoff form yet. But it'll kind of depend on how OKC plays. But I guess might as well just go with the favorite on this.
Yeah, I think if OKC can sort of bring out what they brought out in their last game, I definitely think they can cover. So yeah, maybe at home I might go with OKC. You never know. They might be able to pull something out, maybe keep the game close, that kind of thing. So yeah, I'll go with OKC there. Next game, Sacramento Kings at the Houston Rockets. The Kings are favored by 2.5. I guess do you think the Rockets can get an upset here?
Um, I guess it's possible. I think De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis haven't been playing for I think the past couple of games, so maybe.
Yeah, I think the Rockets have been playing pretty good as of late. So I think I might side with them definitely to keep it close. Next game, Memphis Grizzlies at the San Antonio Spurs. The Grizzlies are favored by 6.5 points. I guess which side are you looking at here?
It's a home game for the Spurs, but for the Grizzlies, they've been playing so dominant right now. You can't really pick against them. So even at 6.5, I think you should still take the Grizzlies.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to say the same thing to be honest. Yeah, I definitely gonna have to go with the Grizzlies until they prove otherwise that they can't cover pretty big spreads like this. So yeah, give me the Grizzlies. Phoenix Suns at the Golden State Warriors. Suns are favored by 6.5 on the road. I guess which side do you like?
I mean, it's kind of the same situation for the Suns. I think they won 5 of their last 5 games. They're number one in the East. Warriors, they have a great roster, but um, they've been having some injury issues. They've been slumping a little bit. So even at 6.5, you could probably still take the Suns.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. Golden State sort of slumping a bit. Phoenix is getting into their groove. I definitely like them to win and cover here. We got the New Orleans Pelicans at the Portland Trailblazers. Pelicans are favored by 12 and a half points. That's a big spread. Can you take the Pelicans here, or do you like what Portland can bring?
I feel like 12 and a half is a little bit big. It'll kind of depends if Brandon Ingram is playing, if CJ McCollum is playing. I think if Brandon Ingram or CJ McCollum are out, I don't think they're going to be winning by 12 or more. But if they're in, they might be able to cover that.
Yeah, I think I'd probably just go with Portland. They've been keeping it close lately. Hopefully they can do it again here, especially being at home. So yeah, I'll take Portland with the points. And yeah, that's pretty much the end of our preview for the Wednesday game slate. I guess any last thoughts on what's going on in the NBA?
Well, it's been um, really interesting for the East. A lot of teams are still making their push, and I guess for the Raptors, hopefully they'll be able to get a favorable spot. But as for kind of how the Raptors would do, I feel like this year is going to be really tough for any team that's like, I guess, fifth seeded or lower, because the top five teams are all really strong this year.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The Raptors are one of the hottest teams right now. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They've won 3 in a row. They're in the sixth seed. They have a chance to pass Chicago now. Chicago looking like they're going to win, so it's going to be tough as of Tuesday. But yeah, I'll definitely see if they can do that. I guess looking at the West, yeah, Phoenix 9-1 in their last 10. They've won 8 in a row, like you talked about. They've been so solid. Even Memphis, not too bad. 9-1 in their last 10. They've won 5 in a row. They moved ahead of Golden State a while back because the Warriors have lost 3 in a row. They have not looked good. They've been a little banged up. They've got Dallas nipping at their heels now, who are just about to beat the LA Lakers as of Tuesday. So they're moving closer to Golden State. So, yeah, especially with a guy like Paul George coming back to the Clippers, the West can really shift a little bit as we head towards the playoffs. I guess, what are your thoughts on that?
It'll definitely be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Clippers, they've lost 5 in a row, only won 2 out of their last 10. They haven't looked great, still in that 8th spot. But yeah, a guy like Paul George coming in, definitely going to be exciting to watch. He's definitely a really solid player. And yeah, that's going to be the end of our big time basketball episode for the week. Make sure you check us out on Twitter and Instagram at FanFan Podcast. We've been posting pics for NBA and NHL. Definitely go check those out. This podcast is going to be on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Just make sure you like, subscribe, share, hit the bell for notifications on YouTube, leave comments, reviews, all that good stuff. And yeah, definitely a great slate of NBA for this week. Definitely a lot of movement going on in the standings. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys on the next episode.